And here we are, my friends. Welcome to the SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. Hello. That's right. The live stream, everything's made up and the points don't matter. Just like when the drummer says, hey, you guys, I wrote some lyrics. Let's give that a... All right. Anyways, I hope you guys had a great week. My name is Jonathan. I had a great week. I had a great week because a big number came into my life. I want to talk about that big number. I'm here to answer your questions about playing the gosh darn guitar. But in between your questions, and I hope there are many, I have a bunch of things to talk to you guys about, including a student quote of the week. One of my students said something I thought, ooh, that's the quote of the week. My weekly dumb question where I ask a dumb question so you don't have to. I want to talk about improving your playing. What does it take to improve your playing? What are the variables that are at play? My number one pet peeve as a guitar teacher. I have one. It's a big one, and I can't wait to share it with you because it gets it off my chest. What else? The harmonic minor scale. You and I are going to have some fun with the harmonic minor scale like you never did before. I have a song of the week that you will not see coming. You'll say, what? I did not see that coming, unless you're my student named Susan, and I don't see her in the chat yet. But this is a song that my student Susan mentioned in one of our lessons, and I listened to it. I thought, I love it, and I worked up a nice version for us. What else? What else? I want to talk about the real book. Someone asked me last week if I still have my copy of the real book, and I basically found it. It's a long story, but I brought it to show you. What else? I don't know. That's about a bunch of things. A weekly poll question. Let's get the poll question going right away, just in case any of you all have to split. I want to get this poll question going. Okay, simple question, but actually, it's something I'm very curious about. So if you're anywhere near a computer where you can join in on the chat and answer this question, simple question. And here it comes. It's coming your way. The question is, paste, how long have you been playing the guitar? Simple question. And your choices include 1 week. And I want you to choose the most, the closest one. 1 month. How about 6 months? You get the idea here, right? I am curious, though. I have a lot of questions about you guys out there. How about a year? Okay. And let's see. Hold on. Let's do this again. Because I want to know who I am talking with out there. Okay. How long have you been playing? Now, don't overthink your answers to this. Some of you, I know you're already thinking, well, I played as a kid and then I put it down for 10 years. And don't overthink it. How long have you been playing the guitar? 6 months. Let's do this. I got this going on right now. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this right from the start, even before I get to your questions, is I love to get as many answers as possible. Hold on, we're getting there. When you do have a question, hold on, I'm getting there. Put a bunch of question marks in advance of your question so I know your question is aimed at me. Okay, 3rd time's the charm. 1 week, 1 month, add option. 6 months. Come on, man, I can do this. I haven't even started drinking yet. 1 year. I see. It won't let me do as many options as I like. 1 year. Okay, and then since it's only giving me 4 options, I'm going to say 5+ years. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. Okay, there's your poll of the night. We're going to be here for quite a while, so if you cannot make it to the chat to vote in the poll. At the moment, you'll find time. Okay. I want to say a few hellos as we're getting started. Dave, welcome, Dave. You have not been able to join the live chat before, and you are able to today. Woohoo! Excellent. Welcome, David. Scott Rhodes, Thunder Race. Hello. Jeff from Wyoming. Hello. Randy from Colorado. Hello. Live to Fly. Good to see you're here. Our moderator, Beginner Guitar Lessons, is here, and this should sound like a round of applause for him. That sounds like a round of applause. It should be a nice, loud round of applause for him. Ozzy from London. Hey, Ozzy from London. Welcome, welcome. I realize that the poll options may not be the, the widest range of options. But obviously, I'm interested in those of you who are brand new, I know a lot of you are not brand new, I get it. Jeff from Milwaukee, hello. Stephen Smith, hello. Okay, so I would, David, I see your question. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Okay. And, all right, let's get right down to it. David's question is the key of E the lowest key? Great question. I know where you're coming from here. I know where this question is going. I'm learning many Johnny Cash songs in that key. Is it okay to think of keys as low to high or not? Because higher or lower octaves, right? Oh, totally makes sense. Yeah. As a singer with my own limited range, this has been on my mind ever since I started playing the guitar and singing. What you're talking about is the fact that some songs are great for us singers and some songs are too high, some songs are too low. We have to transpose, and yet music is circular, right? So we don't just go low to high, because at a certain point you're going to say higher and higher and higher. You're back to where you started from, but you're an octave higher, which is weird, right? That music can be circular if you want to imagine it as circular, and music can also be linear if you want to imagine it that way. So, and plus, we're all coming to your question as guitar players. So we do think of E as being low, right? Because of our low E string. Unless you're going to retune your guitar, that's the end of the road for us, right? That's a guitar thing. That's not how saxophone players think or piano players. That's a guitar thing. So so you can still think in terms of being a guitar player where E is a low sound and so on, but ultimately it's going to serve you best to think of music as circular. So a song is in the key of C, song in the key of E, but Johnny Cash, let's say, Johnny Cash is singing a song in the key of E, and the first note of the song is what we would call the 4th string 2nd fret E, right? The D string 2nd fret E. I'm fretting an E major chord here. And Johnny Cash sings that note. But someone with a higher voice, a female partner singing with Johnny Cash, she might sing it 1 octave higher. That's my open E string, right? And they're both correct. They both sing the right note. So even the same song being sung by 2 different people can be approached from 2 different octaves, So your question, I want to give you a great answer to your question. I guess you can think of keys as being low to high on a case-by-case basis. If I'm singing a Johnny Cash song, it's in the key of E, and I can't sing that low, I'm going to capo up a little bit and move musically through the alphabet. A key of E song with a capo at 3, but played with the chords that feel the same, say E, A, and B7. I'm not in the key of E anymore, really. My left hand thinks I am because of the chord shapes, but I'm really in the key of G, right? The key of E bumped up 3 frets, 3 half steps is really the key of G. So let's say this solves my singing problem. I can now sing the Johnny Cash song perfectly now that the capo is on the 3rd fret. and the piano player in the band says, what key are we in now? I got to answer the piano player based on what I just did. We're not in the key of E anymore, right? So a lot of other people in the band are going to want to know what this new key is. And you want to be able to tell them, you know. So on a case-by-case basis, yes, we are moving from low to high. In this specific case of, you know, Johnny Cash situation, right? But in another situation, it might not be helpful to think of it that way. So I hope that is beginning to answer your question. Just know that just asking that question, you're thinking correctly. You are aware that there's two different ways to think of this stuff. And especially as guitar players, we throw on a capo and we go about our merry way. But what just happened, you know? I found myself many times changing the octave that the singer sings. Like maybe I'll sing it down an octave, but I'll capo it up a few frets so I'm not bottoming out my voice, you know? So juggling concepts like that. David, if you want to, in the chat, put in a very specific example, I'll try to address that. But hopefully what I said is helpful, you know. And again, just the fact that you're asking the question means that you're aware that we're juggling different concepts here. Yeah. You guys aren't hearing the special effects when I go like this. You don't hear a cool rim shot right there. That baffles me. All my controls are on here. I don't know why you wouldn't hear that. That's all right. That's not our concern, right? We're here to play the guitar. No special effects. All right. So please keep the questions coming in. Max, hello from Florida. Joseph, hello. Cheryl, hello, Cheryl. Nut Cup. Hello. All right, you guys. So, great week for me here in small town Connecticut, because as some of you are mentioning in the chat, my YouTube channel, that's how you guys know me. We have passed 200,000 subscribers, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel too. That's a big number. YouTube sends out a plaque, a play button at 100,000 subscribers. At 200,000, it's up to us to have a good time. So let's have a good time tonight, because to YouTube, it's just another day. But to me, this has been a great week. And I'm here to celebrate with my first ever beer on the show. I never had a beer on the show. Tonight's the night. I'm miming taking off the bottle cap. I can explain. So what I have here tonight to make the show just a little more celebratory is from the East Rock Brewery from New Haven, Connecticut, which is not too far from where I am. We have a Weiss beer. So this one is for you subscribers. If some of you listening at the moment are not subscribers, why not, man? Have a drink and subscribe. Local beer, very nice. I imagine the show will go that much better. So here's to you. And I sincerely thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. My wife and I made a bunch of videos back in 2012 for public access TV. And I decided I'll throw them up on YouTube and see what happens. And the rest is history. Okay. So East Rock Brewing Company from New Haven, Connecticut. Good times. Good times. Okay. Let's get right into it. As you are formulating questions, I want to play some guitar. So I cannot wait to do this with you guys. You got your guitars handy, right? Now is the time. Let's get right into this. The Harmonic Minor Scale. I'm going to play it for you, and but I'm also going to talk about it. But we won't talk so much. Maybe I'll play more than talk. You know, there we go. Okay, what is the point at the moment of this E Harmonic Minor Scale? To entertain yourselves, to have some fun, right? Not everything on the guitar has to be work. Not everything has to be a specific song that you're trying to master. Sometimes you just want to have fun, right? Okay, so the premise here is I chose the key of E harmonic minor scale because we have, of course, our open E bass string. And you can see in the tab right here, I put that open string in advance of every version of the E harmonic minor scale, because my hope for you guys is you grab your guitar, you get the mood going, you know, with that open E string. You keep it ringing to the best of your ability. I want you to keep it ringing even while you improvise with the scales, because it's almost like you have a bass player in the room keeping that nice E sound going, right? So E harmonic minor. I'm going to play it, but then we'll talk about the music theory. Okay. So let's call this the first octave. We're doing it based on the fifth string, the A string, 7, 9, 10 on the A string, 7, 9, 10 on the D string, and then on the G string, the third skinny string, 8, 9. For those of you who can't see at the moment, I'm keeping my fretting hand in 7th position. That means when I say 7, 9, 10, my index is playing the 7. My ring finger falls very naturally at the 9th fret, and my pinky falls very naturally at the 10th fret. And that's known as 7th position. 7, 9, 10 on the A string, 7, 9, 10 on the D string, 8, 9 on the G string. And if I play it with that introductory E bass note, it's nice, right? It sets a tone. Do it a few times, get warmed up on it, and then feel free to start improvising. But every once in a while, hit that open E string. Right? Ooh, right? Harmonic minor gets you in a certain mood. Second measure, same concept based on the 4th string, the D string. On the D string, we're going to be in 2nd position, 2, 4, 5. On the D string, 2, 4, 5 in the G string. Now watch out, little variation, 4, 5 on the B string, right? Just a different way of doing it. Actually, I probably shouldn't even describe these first two measures as different octaves, because that actually the sound is the same, right? We're literally playing the same E's and F sharps and G's, just in different positions on the guitar. 7th position versus 2nd position. How about the third measure down here? Based on the 3rd treble string, 9, 11, 12. Watch out, 2nd string, we're going to make a jump, a little shift to the 10th position. I was in 9th position. 2nd string, 10, 12, 13. 1st E string, 11, 12. Ooh, we're getting high, right? We're getting high, my friends. And then, where are we here? Yeah, the last measure. Again, we're creating the same sound that we just did in 9th position, but it's based on the 2nd treble string, the B string, 5, 7, 8. 1st string, 5, 7, 8. And then we got to make a big jump if we want to finish off this E harmonic minor scale, 11, 12. So we got 2nd string, 5, 7, 8. 1st string, 5, 7, 8. Still in the 1st string, 11, 12. Kind of a jump up there, right? Okay, so my hope for all of you folks, when you have a moment in your life, just relax, play these as scales, but then improvise within the scales, right? If that is not enough to sort of, satisfy your improvisatory passion, go on YouTube and find an E minor backing track. And there's going to be a zillion backing tracks. Literally, here at YouTube, just do a search for backing track E minor, and you're going to find dozens to choose from. get one of those going in the background, and then improvise with all 4 of these E harmonic minor scales. You're going to have a ball. The reason I chose this, by the way, is the harmonic minor is such a unique sound, right? It's such a, I call this an evocative sound. I use that term a lot because it's a good word to use. You hear a certain sound and it puts your brain in a place. It could be a certain instrument, right? You hear a little banjo. My wife and I joke, driving down a road and suddenly the road gets very dark and turns to dirt and things get very quiet. And one of us says, I'm starting to hear banjos. Yeah, it's an evocative sound, right? In this case, it's the collection of notes, the sequence of notes known as the harmonic minor scale. Okay, so real quick, in terms of the music theory, for those of you who are theory buffs, okay, remember, anytime we talk about any kind of scale, we use the major scale as a reference point. You can't escape major scales, and why would you want to, right? So the E harmonic minor scale, and by the way, just a quick reminder, the only reason I chose the E harmonic minor scale is so you could keep hitting the 6th string E as a reminder of the key you're in. Okay, so here's the E major scale, which is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. The E major scale has 4 sharp notes, F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and D sharp, and the remaining notes are just regular notes like E, A, and B. Okay, the formula, and this is significant, this is where like the rubber meets the road. This is where you find out if you're into music theory or not. The formula that turns a major scale into a harmonic minor scale. Here's the formula, it's a simple one. You flat the 3rd note and you flat the 6th note. Okay, what does flat mean? It means you move that note back a half step. Okay, so E harmonic minor scale starts on E, then F sharp, then G. Why G? Because the E major scale had a G sharp. We're applying the formula to flat the 3rd note. So that turns a G sharp into a G natural, and there it is right there. So E harmonic minor, E, F sharp, G, A, B. Watch out, we're coming on the 6th note. In the E major scale, the 6th note was C sharp, but we're going to flat it and turn the C sharp into a C. And then we're back on track, D sharp, E. Okay, so there you go. The G note and the C note are the 2 notes that are the notes that are provoking you, evoking this sound. They're the 2 notes in this context that are putting your mind wherever your mind goes when you hear that harmonic minor scale. Fun, huh? There's 2 little innocent notes, an innocent little G and C in this context. Total game changers, right? Total game changers. So there you go. Have fun with the E harmonic minor scale. I am going to put this in the description of the video when I timestamp it tomorrow, okay? But as you guys know, you can always come back and watch this and do a screenshot, or I'm a big fan of going old school, which is get yourself a blank piece of paper and rewrite this on a blank piece of paper, because that just allows your brain to process it at a deeper level. In my humble opinion, I am not a neuroscientist, not yet. I'm definitely an amateur neuroscientist. That's what I feel like. Okay, let's get this music stand out of the way. All right, so there you go. The harmonic minor scale and what you can do with it. Liptify, you like that? Awesome, awesome. Walter is still in New Mexico this week. Hello, Walter. Val, hello. Okay, so the poll, I like to check into the poll. Looks like nobody has been playing a very short amount of time yet. Yeah, don't be shy if you are, because there's no reason to be shy. But if you've only been playing for a week or a month, don't be shy to answer the question that way. Sounds like about 20% of you so far have been playing for about a year, but 80% have been playing for 5 years or more. Yeah, that's great. Good to know. Good to know. Walter, you're heading back to Texas tonight, right? That sounds like a long drive, man. New Mexico to Texas. Just by New England standards, that sounds epic. That sounds like sounds like an epic trip. Okay, so 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good times. The next time that YouTube, 200,000 subscribers. Good ti sends anything my way is 1 million subscribers, which probably will come at some point just because I'm not going anywhere. Could be a long time. Could be a long time. And you know what? That is fine. That's fine. What am I going to do with another YouTube play button anyways? But it is satisfying to know that people are checking out what I do. Very, very cool. Okay, so returning to my agenda here. One of my students this week happened to be an online student, and Ray, was it you? I think it was Ray, who said he was playing something over and over again, and it was going just fine. He was making a little mistake here and there, and he said something. I thought, I got to write that down. He said, the more I think about it, the worse I do. And I know that exact feeling. I don't know exactly what's going on in our brains, but yeah, you stop and think about it and you mess up. You got to stay in that zone for as long as you can, and get better and better at whatever it is that you're doing. It could be the E Harmonic Minor Scale, it could be anything. And we've all been there, right? You're in the zone and you're doing it twice in a row, accurately, 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row. And then you start thinking about it, and that's a recipe for disaster. It's not going to happen. Hey, many vibes. So yeah, but he said that. I love it. I love how he said it. The more I think about it, the worse I do. But that pretty much sums it up, my friends. That sums it up. I have a dumb question for you. A DQ. Scott Rhodes, I believe you got me calling it a DQ. My dumb question of the night. I'm going to put it in the chat. Why not? My dumb question of the week. Okay. And remember, I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this, but I try to find dumb questions that hopefully give a few of us a little pause and think. Okay, my dumb question. And also, don't forget, I want you guys to feel free to ask all sorts of questions and not feel like any question is a dumb question. Okay, you ready? My dumb question of the week. And I'm sure many of us have thought it. You might have even asked it to someone. How much do you have to practice? 10 minutes a day? An hour a day? How much do you have to practice? So it's a fair question, right? It's a fair question. How, to get good at the guitar, right? Makes me want to have another drink. How much do you have to practice? I very much want to give you guys an answer to that dumb question, because it's not a dumb question at all. You've heard me say in the past that my most successful students, the people who make really linear progress and are just get better and better and better on a steady basis, they only have one thing in common. They come in all different shapes and sizes. Beyond that, the one thing they have in common is they play every day. So if someone were to ask me how much you have to practice to get good at the guitar, that's my first thing. My first knee-jerk reaction is, whatever you do, you have to do it every day. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You gotta do it every day, that you will see some kind of progress, something. Maybe not as much as you want, but if I could wave a magic wand and create time and space in your lives, if you guys could play, well, a solid 1 hour a day, or 2 hours with an opportunity to stretch your legs and refresh your cold beverage or whatever. 2 hours a day. Oh man, if you guys, if all of us, I'm not talking about, when I say you all, yeah, I'm including myself, 2 hours of practice a day. But even 1 hour a day, and this is a big if it's focused practice, where the day before what you're going to be practicing the next day, maybe you even have some time goals, some metronome goals, 4 things for 15 minutes each. with no funny business in between, right? Like 4 things for 15 minutes. You know, stretch your back every once in a while. I get that, but like no going on your phone, shopping on Reverb for 7 minutes. Yeah, an hour a day. That's how much you have to practice. You got to practice an hour a day to get good. Especially if you're really focused and you know exactly what you're doing. 2 hours, I mean, obviously the more you practice, the better, right? But 2 hours a day, if you could practice 2 hours a day, maybe, seventh inning stretch halfway through or something. Yeah, 2 hours a day, that'd be amazing. I mean, you guys, and some of you do that. I don't want to underestimate you. Some of you do that. I know you do. But yeah, that's. I like to think in 1 hour blocks. Many vibes, you're saying 15-minute blocks, 24 hours a day, and that's great. That's great. I mean, especially if when you pick up the guitar for those 15 minutes, you have something specific in mind. What's tricky is if you spend part of your time searching around YouTube for something to practice, which I get. That's not a bad idea. That doesn't count as practice, right? You want to, in a perfect world, like I said, you have a plan for tomorrow. Okay, so that's my dumb question of the week. How much do you have to practice? My dumb answer is an hour. Practice an hour a day. Half an hour one time a day, half an hour another time a day. Preparation is everything. Kind of like painting. You ever paint a room? You ever do it the wrong way? But there's so much preparation that goes into painting. It's annoying. You want that glory, right? The glory of that, getting so much paint on the wall so fast. But what? Then you still got to go back and do the stuff you should have done anyways, like prepping the room, right? Preparation. Find stuff, print it out, put it in a folder. Date stuff. Ooh, that's a good idea to date stuff. Put the date right at the top of the page. April 27, I began doing this thing. April 27, I was practicing my E Harmonic Minor Scales. I did it with down-up picking, right? I did it with a metronome set at 72, write all that stuff on the top, or on the back or something. Scott Rose is saying, like so many things, you have to match expectations to priorities. Yeah, he says it's hard to push guitar beyond priority number 4 or number 5. But he plays almost every day. Yeah. Hey, Winston from Wales. I remember Winston from Wales. Hello. Yeah. Now, believe me, I'm not beating up anybody for not being able to practice every day, especially any of you adults out there. Anyone? Yeah. That should be the next week's poll question. Are any of you adults? Wow, 100%. But here's a dumb question from Many Vibes, a dumb follow-up. And I'm quoting Many Vibes. Many Vibes is saying, here's a dumb question. Do you consider noodling and improvising practice? Yes. Yep. Ideally, there would be a focus, like noodling on this right here, noodling on the E Harmonic Minor Scale. That and improvising, noodling around with that because that's a focus, and you get a little bit of the music theory about it, that along with it. If you did it with a backing track, you might still consider yourself, I'm just noodling around with the E Harmonic Minor Scale. But that, from my point of view, that's pretty focused. And yeah. So I mean, how else are you going to get good at improvising without improvising, right? Especially if that's your goal. Yeah. I would just say put some boundaries around it, put a frame around it. I shall improvise with a G blues scale, with a G blues backing track, and then go nuts. Was that you, Beginning Guitar Lessons, who said the more I think about it, the worse I do? That might have been you. It might have been more than one person, but that very might have been you who said that. Stephen says, if it's in your hand, then you're practicing, and that's true. That was my first thought when I read Many Vibes' question. I mean, especially your fretting hand. Keep those muscles and tendons and ligaments alive. Keep those calluses tough. Keep them tough, my friends. We live or die by our fretting fingers, right? And anything is better than nothing. even, I hate to admit it, but even if you're playing the same old song you played 1,000 times because you're good at it and you like that song, at least it's keeping the blood flowing, you know, and that's better than nothing. In fact, one of my teaching philosophies is to provide anybody, students, you know, live stream viewers, with short, sweet stuff that you think to yourself, oh, I'll take a couple minutes and do that. But if I do my job right, it's, you guys end up spending half an hour doing it. You didn't even mean to, but you get this kind of satisfaction, and maybe there's a backing track going. And it's like, it's easier than you thought it was going to be, and it's a little more fun, or maybe a lot more fun than you thought it was going to be. And all of a sudden, I got you. You played for half an hour, and you only meant to play for 5 minutes. It sort of sells something. It's like vegetables that taste amazing. You gotta eat your vegetables, but you know, when someone just cooks them just right, you know, it's like, wow, if that's cauliflower, I could eat that all day long, you know. David, I'm reading your question here too. David says, could you go over the significance / importance of down-up picking, alternate picking? I have a bad habit of using only down picks. Yeah. I jokingly say, oh, I'm obsessed with down-up picking. But I mean, I assume every teacher makes a big deal about this, right? I assume, you know, the act of plucking down and plucking up is very natural, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. What's not natural is jumping around to all different combinations of strings, even in the midst of strumming down and strumming up, plucking down and plucking up, right? It sounds so easy because someone says, oh, just go down, up, but you have to accommodate whatever the song is asking for. And that can be tricky. Okay, so the thing about down, up picking is it's the #1 secret to being a fast guitar player. I'll clarify. It's the #1 right-hand secret. You still have to have fast fingers to your left hand, right? Although there's tricks for the left hand too, like hammer-ons and pull-offs, right? Anyone who aspires to be a fast guitar player, which is all of us, because no one wants to be known as a slow guitar player, but even if you're a chord strummer and you have no intention of playing brazen lead guitar solos, down-up picking still comes into play. You can't avoid it. So it's the #1 way your right hand, if you're a right-handed person, if you're plucking with your right hand, it's how your right hand gets fast. There's other things you can do, but there's nothing more important in my experience than down-up picking. So there's your motivation. That's how you get to be a fast guitar player. Okay. The problem with doing lots of downstrokes, which I believe Chuck Berry relied on lots of downstrokes in his playing, like more than I would have guessed. I've heard that he was known for doing tons of downstrokes. Let's talk about the advantage of doing tons of downstrokes, and then we'll get back to down-ups. Many vibes, boycotts, all picks. Yeah, I get that. No, don't worry. Yeah, you're not totally crazy. You can play with your fingers and have a great time the rest of your life. Okay. The advantage of doing all downstrokes is consistency. Everything is gonna sound the same. I'm doing the E shuffle and 2 bass strings, very, very smooth and even, right? I mean, that's the best way to get a consistent picking sound if you're doing a repetitive picking pattern. Downstrokes are loud, you know, that's great. You know, if you're in a situation where you're downstrokes, someone told me the Ramones always did downstrokes and everything, you know. So there's a time and a place for all downstrokes. The thing about downs and ups is downstrokes are a little bit louder. Let's say it's all thanks to gravity, and upstrokes are a little bit softer. Could you reverse that? Sure, if you tried hard enough. Could you make them sound perfectly even? Probably. But in general, I'll stand by the following statement. Downstrokes are always a little bit louder. Upstrokes are always a little bit softer. Why is that significant? Because you are telling the listener where the down beat is. Hear that? right? You're telling people when to tap their foot. You're telling dancers where the beat is. Humble little you on the guitar. You are communicating a lot of information. So when you're playing something and it's very specific, like specifically a song, not just a scale, but a specific song where the downs and ups are indicated, and the teacher or whoever is saying, look, this is really important that you play this riff this way with these downs and these ups. It is essentially establishing the beat of the song. It's telling people when to tap their foot. Now, I know a few of you out there are saying, well, when I pluck down and I pluck up, that sound the exact same. You can do that. You can achieve parity. You can, if you put your mind to it, yes. In the heat of the moment, in general, with certain guitar riffs, especially if the guitar riffs have when the guitarists have little spaces, right, little gaps in between notes, good old Day Tripper there by the Beatles. The ups and downs go a long way to establishing the beat of the song. It's subtle, I'll give you that, it's subtle, but it is a significant dynamic. It's always worth doing it. If someone has gone to the trouble to write in downs and ups, or if a YouTube video is emphasizing, hey, you really got to do it this way, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it if it didn't make a profound difference. So quick review. Down up picking makes you fast, just in general, in the broadest sense. It makes you a fast guitar player. Every down, everything, what's that saying? What goes up must come down again. The guitar is just the opposite. Every time you pick down, you have to come up again anyway, so you might as well hit something on the way up. Okay. More specifically, every downstroke, if you're doing it right, say it's indicated for a certain riff or something, the downstrokes are just a little bit louder, a little bit more emphasis, a little bit more emphasis on the note, and upstrokes are a little bit softer. And even though it's subtle, it goes a long way to letting everyone know where the beat of the song is. What else? I'm looking for a third. Seems like good things come in threes. A third reason. For the moment, those two are important enough in my little mind that's why you do it, and you'll never have any regrets. Mary is asking, hey Mary, yeah, even though I didn't write the down ups in here, thank you for giving me the opportunity to point that out. Anytime you're ever doing anything with the word scale in it, down up picking, you'll never regret it. Even if you have to go slowly to confirm that you're doing the downs and ups correctly, 100% worth it. In fact, you got to go slowly to make sure that you're doing it, because you'll lose track. It's not a crazy idea to say it out loud as you do it. So if I were to do this E Harmonic Minor Scale, don't forget that zero right there, that open fat string. I'm not considering that part of this scale. So I would encourage you to play the very first note. I'm pointing at the 7 on the 5th string. That's going to be your first note of the proper scale, and I do a downstroke. So down, up, down. It's not a crazy idea to verbalize it. By the way, talking and playing at the same time like this is a skill. If you can go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you can say it correctly and play what you're saying, you give yourself a gold star. It's not easy to play and verbalize stuff at the same time. I've seen people struggle with it. Not everybody, but some people struggle with it. So not only is that a good way to hopefully guarantee that you're doing the downs and ups right, but it's also just cool to know that you're capable of doing that. By the way, I don't know how to make this any more clear than to say, if someone says, oh yeah, do down up picking for such and such a thing, there are no exceptions. I've had students who look at me and say, well, I'm going to go down, up, down on the 7, 9, 10. And then I'm going to start fresh on the next string with another down, up, down. And they say, well, I don't understand. Why is that wrong? And I obviously I didn't make it clear enough that alternate picking doesn't get refreshed just because you move to another string. This is carved in stone. No matter what you just play, no matter what string, what fret, what finger, no matter what, if you just did a downstroke, the next one should be an upstroke. You get the idea. And it's worth it. It's especially if it messes with your brain, it makes you slow down, and there's a little part of you that wants to resist that. I get it. But don't. It's worth it. It's worth it to slow down and do it. Many Babs, you gave yourself a gold star. Nice. Okay, Stephen is asking a great question. Do you ever fret with your fretting hand thumb? Definitely. Some songs require it. In other situations, it's just a handy thing to do. But yeah, and hey, if you already do it, or if you want a little inspiration for getting good at reaching over with your fretting hand thumb and grabbing the sixth string, know that Jimi Hendrix, that was a big part of his style. And so in a way, you could say it's Jimi Hendrix style to reach over and grab with your thumb. Jimi Hendrix was playing a Fender Stratocaster with very large hands and a very thin neck, right? So, it's some of you might not be able to or might not be comfortable with your thumb reaching over and fretting the sixth string. That's okay. I mean, if the day comes and you desperately need to do it, okay, you cross that bridge. Don't agonize over it at the moment. Here are a couple of good bits of good news. Number one, if you're playing, and typically it's going to be some chord thing that asks you to reach over and grab your thumb, as opposed to a lead guitar solo. The two things I want to point out to you is not only does the note, it doesn't always have to ring like a bell, nice clear note like that would sustain, but sometimes it's actually it actually suits the song better to get more of a thump. Hear that? And I'll give you an example. I'm going to get into the mic a little bit here. I know you can't see my fretting hand, but okay, there we go. I'm touching the sixth string, first fret, just lightly enough with, I don't even know what part of my thumb. Whatever you do, don't worry about using the tip of your thumb. Use whatever part you can. I'm squeezing just hard enough that it's getting a little musical sound, but lightly enough that it's not sustaining, right? No buzz though. I want to get rid of any buzz. Hear how that I'm doing a little finger picking on an F chord. Hear how I'm getting a nice combination of the thump in the bass and the ringing sound of the treble strings. Oh, I love that. So I'm just saying, hey, there are times when that's all you need to do with your thumb, just enough pressure to get that thump. For the record, I wasn't doing a true full F chord. I was ignoring the skinny first E string altogether and fretting the remaining second, third, and fourth strings. Index finger, second string 1, middle finger, third string 2, ring finger, fourth string 3. My index finger was kind of muting out the first skinny E string, but I wasn't putting any real solid pressure on the first skinny E string. My thumb is bouncing back and forth between the sixth and the fourth. And then my index and middle are just filling in on the third and second strings. My index finger is plucking the third string, middle finger plucking the second string. I'm kind of noodling. Sounds great, right? I mean, I'm not doing anything that hasn't been done a bazillion times before by many talented guitar players. But anyways, that's when I hear about someone reaching over and fretting with their thumb. That's one of the things that comes to mind. Some nice finger picking kind of stuff. Another one that comes to mind, I'm sure I got this out of a Hal Leonard blues book. I'll definitely put this one in the description of the video. I think this is from, there are two Hal Leonard blues books that I use a lot in my teaching. This is either from the one called Blues Guitar, published by Hal Leonard, just called Blues Guitar, black cover. Is that Fred Sokolow? I don't remember the artist, the author. Or it could have been from Art of the Shuffle by Dave Rubin, also published by Hal Leonard. It could be in both books. Here we go. Okay, so why did this come to mind when I saw Stephen's question? Because of this one note right there, bolt, 6th string, 5th fret. So what I'm playing here, by the way, is a nice little riff. Again, I definitely did not make this up. The whole riff, and there's a whole page devoted to this, it has a thing that glues the chords together, so to speak. Ring finger, 5th string, 7th fret. Index finger, 4th string, 5th fret. Ring finger, 4th string, 7th fret. 7, 5, 7. And that leads to the thumb on the 6th string 5. Sometimes I slide into that first note, for a little effect. And now what happens next? There's only one thing left in this riff, though, that I'm showing you right now. I'm showing you the heart of this 12-bar blues. An A6 chord that slides backwards 2 frets. What's an A6? Okay, you ready, Freddie? First finger, 1st string, 5th fret. Now watch out, pinky. This has to be pinky. 2nd string 7 has to be your pinky. 2nd string 7. Middle finger, 3rd string 6. Ring finger, 4th string 7. You could describe this as 5, 7, 6, 7. 5, 7, 6, 7. But don't worry if you're not getting this right away. That's okay. I'll put this in the description of the video. You can always come back to it. I'll timestamp it. I got you. An A major 6 chord, usually people just call it A6. Slide it back 2 frets. The name is now A9. And I love that sound, right? When you put those two together, it's the exact same chord grip, back 2 frets. So, slow motion. Here it comes again. That's better. So great, right? So great. That's why I love rhythm guitar. You know, on many vibes, wishes you can see my right hand. Okay, as you wish. As you wish. Okay. I wish I could give you a great angle on my right hand in slow motion. Okay, here's my right hand. Woo-hoo. I'm being full disclosure. I'm being a little carefree with the downs and ups. In this particular instance, I might say, hey, do all downstrokes. Don't worry about the downs and ups. In this particular case, you could get away with downs and doing all downstrokes and still get a great groove going. I know that might sound like different than what I said before. Yeah, but sometimes it's okay. I'll be the first to admit it, even though I make a big deal about downs and ups, sometimes it's just not as crucial as other times. You know, Stephen, thank you for your super chat. Stephen says, thank you, Mr. Strings. Is that me? Mr. Strings? Father of Billy Strings? How about that Billy Strings? Huh? You guys know Billy Strings? I'm sure you do. There's so many. I mean, Billy Strings is a pretty young guy, right? And let me tell you, you scratch the surface. There's so many talented young musicians out there doing beautiful stuff. You know, people get caught up worrying about Taylor Swift and having an opinion on Taylor Swift. If you temporarily don't even worry about what your opinion is on Taylor Swift, don't even worry about that or anyone else's opinion, and just scratch the surface and see who else is out there. Oh man, there's so many talented people. Oh, in last week's live stream, I threw out a bunch of names and immediately thought of more later on of some talented folks, a little bit on the younger side, maybe a little bit younger than me, who have new albums out and just some beautiful stuff. So, okay, how we doing? How's our timing? Hey, we're coming up to the 1 hour mark. Okay, I can work with that. Don't forget, I am here for your questions. We had some good questions already tonight. Hey, Bruce. Bruce, wait, you're in Norway? Bruce, wait a minute, Bruce. Now, you're typically in Sydney, Australia, right? Bruce, you don't understand. For me to go 2 towns over is a big trip. I commute 20, 25 minutes to work, every day. And for me, that's an adventure. So, Bruce, safe travels. Have a great time in Norway while you're there. I understand you're working. You might not be able to socialize and see the sights. I don't know. But just for the record, I think of you as Bruce from Australia. So it's kind of blowing my mind that you're just suddenly in Norway now. That's awesome. Awesome. Debbie, you're very welcome. Thank you. Debbie says, thank you for these demos. It's my pleasure. At the University of Oslo. Beautiful. Beautiful, Bruce. Well, have a great time in the months of April and May. Ooh, Bruce, maybe you'll be returning home at approximately the same time I'll be getting my custom guitar. You guys, I try not to talk about it too much. I really do. But I'm so excited. I almost can't sit down. I'm sitting down. A few months ago, I ordered a custom electric guitar from the LSL Guitar Company and had a great phone conversation, email exchange with those folks. And it sounded like we could really do business together. And I'm so excited. Probably the end of May. I'm letting myself be patient and say, hey, if it's the middle of June, that's fine. We'll call it a Father's Day present. But based on what they quoted early on, it should be ready at the end of May. I'm so excited. I described it to you guys before as kind of like a Fender Telecaster on steroids. And can't wait. Kind of a nice blonde, pale yellow with a Bigsby, rosewood neck, stainless steel frets, locking tuners, a P90 in the neck position, and a single coil in the bridge position. Oh, very excited. Custom neck. I want a nice, you know what I wanted? I wanted a nice big neck, like an acoustic. In fact, I hope the neck feels a lot like my Martin guitar. Anyways, okay, I'll leave it at that. I'm just super excited. Hey, Joseph Colasso. So thanks for letting me geek out about it. And I can't wait to show it to you guys. Part of me wants to do like an unboxing. Like imagine if it arrived on a Saturday and we could unbox it together. But the adult in me realizes that, you crack open a box and you have no idea what's going to be inside. And I don't know. I went through this before with Fender, and what was inside the box was not what I ordered. That was a while ago now. And that was just so disappointing that I don't want to go through that again, especially not on camera. And I bet LSL is going to knock it out of the park. So sometime check out their website, lslinstruments.com. I think that's the website. And they certainly have a social media presence. I see them on Instagram all the time, LSL Instruments. Ooh, I think you guys will like it. They do some beautiful stuff. And for sure, when I get it, I'll be playing it here on the live stream. Okay. Don't forget please do keep the questions coming in. If you ask the question and I am not getting to it and you start thinking, wait a minute, did they even see my question? Don't be shy about putting it in the chat again. Because anything is possible. It's possible for me to miss anything. Gentlemen, ladies, let's get right into our play along song of the week, or as my student Ray calls it, a pick up and play song, because that is the type of song I choose for these weekly play alongs. Songs that don't take a whole lot of explanation and don't necessarily even take a whole lot of practice. Songs you can pick up and play, like Ray said. Thank you, Ray, for that quote. Um, Ray is also responsible for one of my favorite quotes where he said, I play this song in the key of me. Like, I like that. I'm going to write that down. Okay, so my student named Susan, and Susan, I don't see you in the chat. That's okay. But she, on Tuesday, we had our online lesson, and she mentioned a song by Reverend Gary Davis. And Reverend Gary Davis is one of the kind of legendary acoustic blues guitar players that I've always meant to do a deep dive on and never have. And I know there's whole books on how to play like Reverend Gary Davis. I'm sure there's YouTube videos on playing his style. And it's on my list, you know. So she suggested a tune. I listened to it. I thought, wait a minute, I hear what he's doing in that tune. That's pretty straightforward, at least at the heart of the tune. And he does some nice improvising stuff, but the heart of the tune is pretty straightforward. All right, so are you ready? We are going to talk about, from Reverend Gary Davis, a gospel blues called I Heard the Angels Sing. And just to whet your appetite, check it out, C to E minor. Doesn't get any easier than C to E minor, right? We'll talk about the picking pattern in a second. A very cool riff that he returns to repeatedly, but nothing too difficult. And a B7 chord. So C, E minor, B7. So now is your chance to do a quick review of those three chords. And by the way, the E minor, we can even fudge it a little bit. Although it's such an easy chord, you might say, for heaven's sake, why would anyone fudge an E minor chord? But I'll show you. Such a great tune from a guitar teacher point of view, because it sounds so cool with the singing and stuff, and this cool little bass note riff, but it's not complicated. Now, I'm only going to say this once, because I feel the need to say it a million times. Reverend Gary Davis does all this cool stuff beyond what you see in the paper, but what you're seeing right here is the heart of the tune. I'm going to post in the description of this video, I'm going to post a video of him playing the tune, and I think we all should, learn every note he plays. But I want to get you guys up and running with this part because there's some very cool skills going on here, and it's a great riff. So let's take 5 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it 5 minutes or less. Go over the skills that you need, and then let's play the tune. Okay. And some of you are saying, I've never heard this song before. I have no idea what's about to happen. Yes, that's okay. That's all right. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a second. I'm going to play it slowly, and then we'll talk about it. 1, 2, here's my C. Okay, get that boom chick kind of vibe. C major chord, hit the 5th string, 3rd fret. That's where your ring finger probably is. Then a light brush on 3 treble strings. See that 0, 1, 0? If you hit 4 treble strings, that's fine. If you hit 2, that's fine. Don't overthink it. But the important thing is the boom chick kind of vibe. Then just take your middle finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. You can do a proper E minor, go for it. You don't have to. I looked at the video closely, and it looked like he was not doing that. It looked like he was actually just fretting the 5th string, 2nd fret with his middle finger, either dampening out the 4th string or maybe just ignoring it. You hit that note, 5th string, 2nd fret, middle finger, and then a light brush on the 3 treble strings. In the heat of the moment, you may see me doing what I just said. You might see me grab a proper E minor chord. If I do grab a proper E minor chord, it's going to be the ring finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. So we have a boom chick on the C and a boom chick on the E minor. Hit the 5th string though. You're going to do that twice. C to E minor, C to E minor. That's what I mean by twice. You do it one more time on the C. That's right there on the paper, the third, the third measure, so to speak, right there. And then you are going to use your middle finger on the 5th string 2nd fret the way you were doing it for the E minor chord, but you are not going to play an E minor chord. You're going to do the riff. So cool. Okay, middle finger, 5th string 2nd fret, downstroke. Ring finger, 6th string 3rd fret, upstroke. Back to the 5th string. 0, 1, 2, down, up, down. Down, up, down. And you have to end up on your middle finger, 2nd fret, 5th string. I mean, you want to, because then you can formulate the rest of the B7 chord for a strum. We're going to go over that in a second. Don't worry, we'll come back. And then the form of the tune ends on the E minor chord, but this time 6th string open and a light brush on the treble strings. You might even say, do I really even have to fret the whole E minor chord? No, but your middle finger is already there from the B7 chord. Okay, so just to return to the 2nd line, the riff. You can hear him do it loud and clear. This beautiful YouTube video, it does a close-up on his left hand. It is a gift to guitar teachers. So many videos don't do any close-ups, let alone a close-up on the left hand, the fretting hand. Okay, so we're going to start the actual song in a minute. I'm going to walk you through it slowly one more time. I'm just going to play it slow and steady, maybe 2 times, and then we will do the song with the lyrics and everything. Slow motion, C chord, 1, 2, slow motion, here we go. One more time, a little faster. Okay, now, before we start, I always want to give you guys the same pep talk. It's not about if you can do it perfectly today. What I'm hoping, as we do dozens and dozens of these play-alongs, so we've done about a couple dozen of them now, is that 1% of you, 9% of you get really turned on. Like this just works for you, especially once you hear it with the vocals and stuff. And you're like, wait a minute, stop, hold the presses, stop the presses, hold the phone. Like I want to do that, all day Sunday, And I figure if I do enough of these tunes with enough variety, everyone's going to get something. And if whatever turns you on makes me happy. Okay. I am going to hydrate. Again, celebrating 200,000 subscribers with the East Rock Brewing Company, their Weiss beer. I like it. East Rock Brewing Company, New Haven, Connecticut. Okay, you ready to do this? I'm kind of winging it. I just learned this song on Tuesday, and I love it, but you're going to hear me sing, and then I'll probably play through it, without singing, then come back to sing again. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And I know it might be tricky getting my right hand in the shot. We'll work it out. Okay. I get the melody in my head. Okay, I'm going to play through it and then go right into the vocal. 1, 2, 3, here we go. 1, you sing. I heard a voice, but I saw no one. I heard the angels sing. What do you reckon? He said to me. I heard the angels sing. Well, I'm too old to die. I'm too young to pray. I heard the angels sing. I went down in the valley, began to pray. I heard the angels sing. Made Satan alive. I heard the angels sing. I went down on my knees. I went down on my knees. Nice groove, right? So is it blues? Yeah. Is it folky? Yeah. Is it gospel? Yeah. It's one of those. It's American music, right? A lot of things happening right there, right? I will put a link to him doing it in the description of the video. And you got to hear him sing it, right? This is his starting point, and then he will go up the neck, essentially playing, if you want to know one of the scales he's using as he moves up the neck and begins interspersing lead guitar melodic riffs with what you heard right there. An E minor pentatonic, E blues, either way you want to look at it. Check it out. It's like the B.B. King box, but not exactly. For those of you who know the B.B. King box, it's close, okay? 9, 8, 10, 7, 10. What does that mean? Middle finger, got to be a middle finger. 9 on the G string, 3rd string. Moving over to the B string, 2nd string, 8, 10. Got to use your index ring, 8, 10. Now watch out. 1st skinny string, 7, 10. And I'm using my index and ring. So in order, I'll put this in the chat, in the description. 9, 8, 10, 7, 10. Oops. So as he jumps up the neck and begins putting in stuff, that's at least one of the scales that he chooses to improvise with. Okay, so Max says that has a Johnny Cash kind of thing going on. Yeah, I could see Johnny Cash doing that. Hey, for all I know, he does do it, Okay, so there you go. As a guitar teacher, I like the clarity. I use that word all the time. You guys know that. I like the clarity of what's going on there. This part is not particularly simplified. This pretty much is what he's doing. It's the more advanced stuff he does at later points in the tune that I haven't done a deep dive on that. But pretty clear, right? Boom, chick, strum pattern everywhere except that cool riff. But you want to have a cool riff in a song. It'd be boring if it didn't happen, and he returns to it. I mean, that's structurally, that's an inherent part of the song. Da boo da boo dum. Yeah. So you can imagine how I felt. Like I said, Susan suggested the song on Tuesday. I listened to it. I'm like, well, wait a minute, that sounds like C to E minor. Yeah, we can all do that, but it has just enough down there to that'll wake people up. What I hope for all of you folks is that you have a variety of opportunities to intersperse chord strumming with something else, and I live for songs that have stuff like that, where basically you're strumming, but there's these very specific opportunities where you you have to break out of the strum and do something and then come back to the strum pattern. It sounds so much more interesting than just strumming the chords, right? But it doesn't even have to be anything particularly complicated. Give yourself a day or two of practice on that riff and you'll have it. Last thing I'm going to say about this is which finger you use in your fretting hand really, really matters. Monitor yourself. You have to use the middle finger on the second fret, the ring finger on the third fret, the index on the fourth. You have to. Trust me, you want to, and you have to do the down and ups if you want to get the right rhythm. The down and ups are crucial. They're so important. I can't emphasize that enough, Live to Fly has to go walk the dogs. Live to Fly, maybe you're gone right now, but thank you for being here. Bruce has got to get some sleep there in Norway. Yep, safe travels. Many vibes is burning dinner. You have to go check. Yeah, priorities. I've been informed by Music Fan that it's pizza night in my house tonight. Woohoo! And I know you guys can't hear the wild applause, which I don't understand because I can hear it loud and clear, but I just did some wild applause in the little sound effects there. I don't know. Everything is lit up the way it's supposed to be lit up. I don't know why you guys can't hear the wild applause. Anyways, okay, I heard the angels sing. And that was Reverend Gary Davis with his gospel blues song entitled I Heard the Angels Sing. We'll be right back after this. Don't forget, programming is sponsored by East Rock Vice Beer. If it's not East Rock, it's not East Rock. I was a disc jockey for 4 years. Actually, I was a disc jockey for more than 4 years during college. I did it for all 4 years of college, and then when I graduated, they couldn't find anyone to take my place. Not because I was so special, but because it was a Sunday morning show, and there are very few weirdos who really wanted to go to bed early on a Saturday night to get up early on a Sunday to do a radio program. So technically, I was on the radio longer than I was in college, which, yeah, that tracks. That sounds like Jonathan. That sounds about like me. It was a Sunday morning. They call it the folk show. Basically acoustic music. I could play whatever I wanted. But yeah, like you guys, I over time I established a nice little listenership, and a lot of fun. But yeah, I went to bed early every Saturday night for over 4 years. I overslept one time, rushed to the radio station across the campus, like, oh man, I can't believe I overslept. And you're not going to believe it. Because it was the weekend of daylight savings, I actually was exactly on time. I wasn't an hour late. What are the chances? The Folk Show, WNUR FM, the New Music FM. We were supposed to say the New Music FM, even though almost everything I played was like not new music anymore. We have sirens here in small town Connecticut. Do not worry. Hey, friends. I'm going to throw up on the big board the list, not really throw up, but I'm going to put up on the big board the list of the previous tunes. I want to do this every once in a while because, especially those of you who may be relatively new to what we do here, every live stream we do one of those play along songs. Those are the ones we've done previously in alphabetical order. Next week, I Heard the Angels Sing will be on the list. It'll be in between Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson and Iko Iko, I guess. So anyways, I want you guys to be able to take a look at that if you watch this later, or if you are watching this tomorrow in the future as a YouTube video, freeze frame, pick any one of those songs. The songs are relatively easy, very clear, very straightforward. Every time I pick one of these songs, it goes through a pretty serious vetting process. It has to be a song with pretty easy chords, a pretty easy strum pattern, a pretty repetitive chord sequence. These are great introductory songs to playing rhythm guitar. So any one of those that grab you, the number in parentheses is the number of the live stream where we did that particular song. So for example, we did Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young, live stream 32. Here on my YouTube channel, I do have a playlist of all the of all these live streams. This is number 45, by the way. So you can go to the number 32. Before you watch the whole live stream, you can go to the description where everything is timestamped, and you can jump right to the moment where we do Cinnamon Girl on live stream 32. I try to make it easy for you guys. Hey, speaking of making it easy, I have a note to remind you guys, if you don't already have my free blues guide ebook, do yourself a favor, it's free. I'm putting this in the chat. Just head over to www.song-bike.com. I have given away dozens and dozens and dozens of these, and I just want to remind you that it's there waiting for you. Hey, Live to Fly, thank you for your super chat donations. Super chats are your way of supporting what we do here in our little community here. Super chat, you can go to the bottom of the live stream and click on that $sign, and it tells you what to do. And I thank you in advance, and thank you, Live to Fly, for your super chat. I appreciate that very much. I have bills. You guys help pay the bills without a doubt, and I appreciate it. Head over there to that free to get that free blues guide ebook. It looks like that. What you will get is a PDF, and then should you choose, you can print it out. You can go crazy, binding, but you don't have to. You can just look at it on your computer. You don't have to print it out. You can save a tree, and it's free. Okay, and there's a video, of course. Everything I do, there's a video. Oh, so while I have your attention, we were talking last live stream about the book known as The Real Book, and someone said, asked me, do I still have my original copy of my real book? And I don't. I couldn't find it. My music shop has been flooded too often, and every time it floods, number one, it's never my fault. It's not like I left the tap on or something. And number two, I lose some more stuff. And before you say, well, dummy, why don't you get it off the floor? Then it won't flood. Oh, I did get stuff up off the floor on a high shelf. In fact, I had a carpenter put the shelf up even a little bit too high. Like later, I thought to myself, oh, dang it. So I wish I hadn't come to put it so high. And the AC system exploded, and stuff on the high shelf got tons of water damage. Yes, the joys of small business. So I couldn't find my real book, but I found another copy. So the real book, 6th edition, this says, and to give you an idea of what the real book looks like, let's pick a tune. This is just a follow-up on last week. Okay, Thelonious Monk, Blue Monk. Okay, there's what the real book chart looks like. You got title, author, description, medium blues. It says MED blues, medium blues. You got the chord changes, time signature, key signature, the basic melody, and that's it. Bare bones information. But for seasoned musicians, that's all they need. Then they're up and running. I think I told you I was taking jazz lessons from a guy, and we used my copy of the real book as part of the lessons. And the first thing he would do, we'd pick a tune, he'd start crossing out the chords and writing in substitutions and fancier chords, and that gave me pause. I was like, whoa, I guess you can't trust everything you read. But he knew how to make the songs more appropriate. Anyways, that's the real book. Not to be confused with fake books, although it kind of serves the same purpose. But yeah, now you know that's what the real book looks like. And if I didn't lose mine in one of the many floods we've had, I just couldn't find it. But that's someone else's copy that I found sitting around. So there you go. There's the real book. You can check that off the agenda. Chord family of the week. Every week, thanks to Stephen Mannion, who had this great idea, I like to throw a chord family your way. And what I'm going to point out, I've made a note to myself to use to use I Heard the Angels Sing as the chord family of the week. Kind of convenient because we did the E Harmonic Minor Scale, right? And then we did a song in the key of E minor, I Heard the Angels Sing. So I would like to indicate that the significance of I Heard the Angels Sing, or what I want you to notice, is specifically the E minor B7 business, like at the bottom, the way that the form ends. If E minor is considered the one chord, and I'm going to try to convince you guys that we're in the key of E minor and it is the one chord, B7 is known as the 5 chord. Where do those numbers come from? They come from the scale. Remember, we're talking about even though we're talking about a song in the key of E minor, we still use the E major scale as a reference point. Go figure. But that's how it goes. So in the key of E minor, the E chord is nicknamed the 1 chord, and that B7 is nicknamed the 5 chord. So when the form ends on the B7 resolving to the E minor, that would be known as a 5-1 chord change in the key of E minor, So chord family of the week, nice simple chord family. B7 resolving to E minor. But what about this C, the elephant in the room? What about that C that keeps showing up? I mean, clearly the C, the song starts on a C chord, right? So how can, or shouldn't we address that C? And sure, if you want to, no reason not to. Here's the, by the way, I have not come across another kind of bluesy tune that is it has that vibe, that C to E minor kind of vibe. Oh, you know what it does remind me of? Anybody know that song like This Train is Bound for Glory, This Train? That seems to be melodically related to I Heard the Angels Sing. I don't know, do a taste test sometime. Listen to Reverend Gary Davis and then find, maybe I'll put it in the chat and you can see if the tune known as This Train is pretty darn similar to I Heard the Angels Sing. I think they're cut from the same cloth. Okay, so because I love white paper and I love Sharpies and I have both things, I'm making a big deal about E minor, known as the 1 chord. We make it a lowercase symbol to indicate 1 because it's a minor chord, as opposed to a big Roman numeral, like a capital I looking Roman numeral 1. And B7, we're calling that the 5 chord, big Roman numeral 5 with a little 7 next to it to indicate that it's a 7th chord. It's not just B major. So there you go. There's a 1-5. That's how it would be written out, a 1-5 chord change. So what's up with that C? Well, what I want to point out to you is how similar C and E minor are. Notice it, like from your fretting hand's point of view, it's a really easy chord change from C to E minor, right? Maybe one of the easiest you've ever done. And a big reason for that is the 3 notes in any E minor chord on any instrument. The 3 notes that make up an E minor chord, E, G, and B. The 3 notes that make up a C major chord, C, E, and G. Oh, wait a minute, they both have E's and G's, right? And the 2 notes that are different, C and B, are literally a half step apart. I mean, you can't get any closer in our musical language than B and C. These 2 chords are almost the same chord. Now, your fretting hand begs to differ, right? Your fretting hand is like, well, wait a minute, there's a C chord and there's E minor. I learned both of them, they're 2 separate things. You're right. That's how guitar players think, right? We think chords, we associate chords with grips. Like this is a D, and this is this, and this, and that's fine. That carries us a long way, But now we're talking about music theory. In theory, these are almost the exact same chord, right? You get that? B and C, those are the only differences. So it's not a shock to me that a song that's based on E minor, that the composer could also throw in a C major chord, gets that nice major sound, but it's not pushing the boundaries. It's not a radical new sound. It's like literally the guitar player changed a B note to a C note, and now you're on the C chord. But Reverend Gary Davis, the very first thing he did, he hit that ring finger 5th string 3rd fret note on the C chord. That's the note C. mean, that's pretty, that's like announcing to the world, okay, we're in the world of C temporarily right there. And then he dropped down to the B note during the E minor chord. I'm going to do a quick guitar tuning here. So in terms of a chord family, the E minor B7 is not a particularly interesting pairing of chords. It's a really common kind of standard, okay? You know, 1 chord and a 5 chord. The 1 chord happens to be minor, that's fine. But the C chord is an unusual 3rd chord in my experience. I'm not saying I've never seen it before, but I have to say, I've never seen a minor key tune that focuses on that chord so much. You know, the major chord that is extremely close to the 1 chord, you know. I've never seen in my experience a tune that has that C to E minor, C. I mean, it's relentless, right? Yeah, so kind of interesting family, all because of the C chord, all because of that note C. And someone, if you haven't already put in the chat, someone is about to say, okay, Mr. Big Shot, if E minor is the 1 chord and B is the 5 chord, what nickname am I going to give that C chord? Tough one, because in the key of E minor, okay, I mean, the note C is the flatted 6th degree of the scale. Remember we were talking about, you know, this whole minor key, the formula, right? So I guess you could call C the flat 6 chord. I don't have a better answer for you. So we're going to call C the flat 6. E minor is the 1, B7 is the 5, and C is the flat 6 chord. The regular 6 chord would be C sharp, but C would be the flat 6 chord. There you go, I guess, you know, if you want to give it a name. Hey, Debbie, I got your order. Debbie, I woke up this morning, I thought, whoa, someone just ordered a bunch of my books. I appreciate that, Debbie. I got your order. Debbie, the hard copy, I just put in the mail today on my way over here to my Elm Street studio. So it might not, I forget if the post office does stuff on Sunday. Maybe now they do, but anyways, I dropped it off this afternoon at the post office, and hopefully it will be on its way to you, Debbie. If not Sunday, then hopefully Monday morning. But thank you for your book order. You guys, since you're setting me up, Debbie, since you made such a generous book purchase and you brought it up here, I'm going to take 1 minute. I got to do it. Okay. This will just take a minute. Okay, that's the free one. Song-bike.com, song-bike.com. Get that for free. Okay. The one that I put in the mail to Debbie was this one, the hard copy. It's the only book that I sell that's actually made out of paper, not electronic. Easy Guitar, Chord, and Lead Tricks. I love that book. Not me on the cover. Some long-haired hippie guy. I don't know. Who knows who that is? But it's not me. I know, it's a long ways off. The Complete Christmas Songbook. Ooh, I love this book. I put a lot of time into that one. That is, all of these books are electronic books. You get it downloaded onto your computer instantly. You get it emailed to you instantly, and then you can decide if you want to print out some or all of it. What else do I have handy? Ooh, the first book I ever wrote, the DCG trick. All sorts of cool things you can do with the very specific D, C, add 9, and 4-finger G chords. My hit video, my one big viral video. And then the other ones that I have handy, this series that I did, the Guitar Week one, the Guitar Month one, and the Guitar Year one. That's probably back at the music shop. Anyways, cool set of books for beginners. That's what I have handy here. What I don't have is the Strum Pattern Bible. I love that book. Anyways, head on over to www.song-bike.com. and see if any of those books are right for you. Debbie, if you didn't, the free blues book, you can just get that right now from my website. If you didn't already get it, just go ahead and get it. It's not something that you have to order and it comes in the mail or anything like that. You just get it right for free right from the website. Scott, I see your question, and I like it. Yeah, Scott says, in this context of good old Reverend Gary Davis here. By the way, I was pleasantly surprised. I knew his reputation as being a hotshot guitar player, and I was surprised that at the heart of this particular tune was pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, Scott says, could you go C to E minor without moving the middle finger? Just slide the ring finger. I got you. Just slide it back like that. Totally. And here's the only reason I didn't suggest that. Like I said, I'm going to post a link to the video. In fact, I'll put it in the chat in a minute. He does not do what you're describing. And I figured I'd stay consistent with what he's doing. So he goes from C, and you can see his middle finger reach over like that onto the 5th string. And it's not clear if, it's not clear if he's touching the 4th string at all anymore. He definitely does not move the ring finger over and complete the E minor chord. Did I and could you? Totally. Oh yeah. But I figured I try to stay true to what I see his fingers doing. Having said that, oh yeah, there's your solution right there. There's your C, and your ring finger just moves back into position, and there's an E minor. Why not? As you guys know, E minor is such an easy chord that you can do it whatever way you want to, whatever way works for you. Okay, guitars and deserts. Any tips to getting a good train chugging sound? I think you're talking about that muted. Is that what you're talking about? Little palm muting with the edge of your picking hand. When I think of chugging, that's what I'm talking about. So feel free to clarify, but I'll keep my eye on the chat there and see if I'm interpreting what you're saying right or not. So feel free to clarify. So it sounds like, okay, it sounds like such a rudimentary thing, like, oh, just let your skin touch the strings. Let me tell you, as a guitar teacher of over 3 decades, I have seen plenty of people struggle with this a little bit, and I'm open to suggestions in how to describe it, because for some people it seems to come pretty naturally, and some people really are not comfortable with this whole idea of letting some of the flesh of your picking hand touch whatever strings. But let me throw some ideas out there. I'm going to do an E minor chord. I like to keep the left hand fretting simple when our focus is going to be on the right hand. So let's not do anything crazy with the left hand. Just a good old E minor chord with any fingers, anything up. So here are a couple of things that might seem obvious, but I want to make sure you know. I'm definitely not strumming all 6 strings. I'm focusing, maybe 2 or 3 strings tops. I'm holding the pick pretty loosely. If I was holding the guitar the way a normal human being holds it, with the neck parallel to the, the floor, the pick is maybe more than usual, is tilting up towards my chin a little bit as I play. I'm definitely not, this is going to sound really nerdy, but what else is new? I'm not using the extreme tip of the pick to do what I just did. If anything, I'm using kind of like the center of the pick, which I know sounds weird. When I hear myself say it, it sounds weird. Yeah, let's call it the midline, the center point of the pick. Again, I'm not using the extreme tip. I'm tilting the pick up towards my chin. I know that's probably not much better, but that just looks like a guy playing the guitar. If I do it sideways, is that any better? Ooh, check that out. Can you see that? Okay. I'm not going to play. I'm just going to keep my hand in this position. if you look closely, you can see how the tip of my pick is going well into this, into the sound hole of the guitar, the way I'm holding it right now. Yeah. So, but I'm holding the pick very loosely. And like I said, when I'm holding it the normal way, I'm letting the pick aim up towards my chin a little bit to help, to make sure I'm using sort of the flat center part. Well, the whole pick is flat, but I know, something to think about, okay? You want to use enough energy to hit 2 or 3 bass strings, but not so much energy that you're hitting all 6 strings, because what we don't want is that sound. Let's talk about the flesh. How do you describe that? The heel of your hand? If I trace down my pinky all the way down, right before I get to my wrist, I got that squishy part. Where's Bill when I need him? Bill is a retired emergency room physician, and he's been teaching me about my own body. So yeah, that squishy part, that part gets planted on the strings even before I pluck anything. That part is glued there. That part never loses contact with. I'm probably touching almost all the strings, but I'm definitely focusing that squishy flesh on the 3 or 4 heaviest strings. Obviously, you want enough pressure that you're controlling the sustain, in that you're basically taking away most of the sustain, but not so much pressure that you're getting no music whatsoever. So you want to, I call this letting a little music come through. A little bit, right? All downstrokes. And as you're getting a satisfying thumpy sound, begin emphasizing some to make them louder than others. And a cool challenge, I want you to think of an 8-note sequence, 8 downstrokes. Make 1 and 4 louder than all the others. Check this out. We've all heard songs with that vibe, right? If I said the numbers out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sounds like something, right? It sounds like something. And that's a strum pattern. I mean, that's a legitimate strum pattern. I've done that for songs. It's very familiar. It has its own little groove to it. It's not rocket science, but to do it consistently while you're changing to other chords and stuff, it's valuable. It has value. So, so guitars and deserts. Those are some of my suggestions for that chug kind of sound. Obviously, when you change chords and do different chords, you may have to adjust your pick. Say an A major chord, I'm gonna be avoiding the 6th string, or I'm choosing to avoid the 6th string, but I'm getting the same technique. Of course, my squishy part of the heel of my hand, that's touching the 6th string, but my pick is focusing on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd. So yeah, I hope some of those thoughts are helpful thoughts. Randy, thank you for your super chat, you guys. It means a lot to me. I really do appreciate that. I'm here for you guys, and I enjoy these live streams so much. But yeah, I have bills, and so when you guys make contributions, or when you buy a book or something like that, it goes a long way to helping to pay the bills. So I appreciate that very much. Oh, speaking of paying the bills, now is as good a time as any to talk about, you guys might want to get yourself a little something, and bear with me. If you get yourself a little something from Sweetwater, you can, wait for it, you can use this affiliate link. Let's see if I did this right. And then we all win. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, so this is also in the description to the video here, but I just put in the chat the Sweetwater affiliate link. Anybody who clicks on that link for a couple of weeks, Sweetwater knows that I sent you. And for a couple of weeks, any dollar that you spend at Sweetwater, they send a little bit of that back to support what we're doing here. And I thank Sweetwater and I thank you. Get yourself some strings, some picks, whatever works for you. If you're going to get a big, expensive guitar, definitely click on that link, you know. Um, but we all need stuff, and why not get it from Sweetwater? Scott says that he likes varying the sounds from adjusting the pressure of the fretting finger. Yes, excellent. So what Scott's talking about is getting a similar effect, that muted effect, by adjusting how hard you're squeezing with your fretting hand. And yeah, that's another another way to control the sound. Certainly, if for sure that's helpful when you want to get that totally dead chopping. In this case, I'm doing nothing special with my right hand whatsoever. I'm doing an A power chord, 5, 7, 7 on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. But I call it just relaxing. By relaxing my left hand fingers on the fretboard without lifting them away from their actual strings, the sustain goes away, the music goes away, and that allows me to get a little chugga chugga. It's a beautiful thing. So that's what Scott is referring to. In general, the fact that your fretting hand also can play a role in muting the sound. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, you guys, we're going to wrap up pretty soon. But it's not too late to get a question in. I'm going to take one moment. And again, I can always say, if I missed your question, and that's on me. Don't be shy. Just put it in the chat. Again, remember, put a few question marks in advance so I know, so I can't miss it. I'm just looking at my little thing that I want to go over with you guys. There's some things that I didn't get to today, but there's a lot that I did get to. But it's not too late. Oh, my number one pet peeve. Okay, bear with me, you guys. This makes me insane, and I have average patience. I'm not. I don't. You know, I'm okay. I'm a pretty patient person. This one thing makes me insane, but it's understandable, I guess. Okay. Anyways, if you want to keep me from going totally insane, if you and I are ever playing guitar together, you know, anytime you ever have to play anything at the first fret, any note, anything, just always use your index finger. Never use any other finger at the first fret, ever. And then I'll stay out of jail. You know, is it possible there's some exceptions in life? Sure, if your index finger is already doing something at some first fret note and you need another first fret note, yes. I have not come across tons of those situations. But yes, there's exceptions. I get it. That's not what I see day after day. I don't know how I stay sane. It makes me insane. Okay, I'll say it one more time. Anytime you play any string at the first fret, please use your index finger. If you're not using your index finger, ask yourself why not. And again, you know, the fine print, all you lawyers out there, yes, I can't imagine hypothetical situations. I can imagine real situations where there are exceptions to this. Other than that, please. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it makes me crazy. But because we all know logically, sure, your index finger is like it's right there. It's waiting right there. You know, in the fog of war, I call it, when you just reach out and you grab a note, you know, just to grab it because it's the right note. And you grab it and you know, It's the fog of war. Anything can happen. But the index finger is such a smart, strong, confident finger. It's still, I just don't get how it would even let another finger. Okay, there you go. Thank you. I feel better. But yeah, just don't do it. Okay. That was actually on my list. I don't know. I try to come up with entertaining, interesting things. And I thought, oh, I'm going to share that. I don't have too many pet peeves, I don't think, in terms of like what guitar students do, because we're all human. We're all doing the best we can. And for some reason, that one thing. Yeah. Okay, what we didn't get to, and I'm not sure if we quite have time, but we got, there's 38 of you, and I love that. So yes, we are going to get to what I consider to be a pretty big topic, but why not? Okay, so two things, a quick one, and then a bigger one, because there's 38 of you, and I really appreciate you guys being here. The short one, I read a neuroscientist who posted a thing. I think I started following him on Instagram. Not all his posts are about music, but he was talking about music in this one post. And he said something that caught my eye. Our brains love patterns, got it? But our brains also love guessing correctly what the next thing is going to be, essentially figuring out the pattern. And something about that just struck me. I thought, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like we look for patterns. I guess we all know that, right? You look for patterns in life, right? But being able to predict what the next thing is extremely satisfying. My poor wife, we watch TV, and sometimes I try to predict what's coming up next. Not every couple can survive that annoying habit, I know. Somehow we're still here, knock on wood. So I know, kind of interesting, right? Our brains love guessing what's coming next. Okay, but here's the big thing, and this will probably be our last thing for the evening. Improving your playing, what are the main variables? Yes, we all want to improve our playing. That's I know. But let's break this down for a minute and talk about the main the things that you have control over. Because some of this you do have control over, some of it you don't, right? Someone makes you work overtime. You got to work overtime. You can't be home playing the guitar. It's not always within your control. Let's talk about your right hand. When I say right hand, strumming hand. That's one of the variables. Left hand is a variable, right? But let's keep those two things separate. Right hand variables. If you're using a pick, hold the pick the right way, right? That loose fist. Your thumb does the actual work. Your index finger is curled up. The pick rests against the side of your index finger. Your thumb does the actual holding work. Looks like a nice loose fist. There's a variable that you can control. Just hold the pick the right way. Yes, there are talented guitar players who hold the pick differently than this, but that is not what makes them a good guitar player. But yes, I do recognize there's talented people. I know some of them personally who do awesome things and they don't hold the pick the right way. What are you going to do? Okay. How tightly you hold the pick. That's something to think about. That's going to vary from song to song, from moment to moment in a song. That's a variable in terms of how to improve your playing. Are you aware of how most of us will hold the pick tighter than we need to? At least that's what you want to watch out for. If you drop the pick a lot, that is a good sign. I'd rather watch that all day long than someone who's squeezing too hard and getting an abrasive sound. But anyways, that's another right hand variable. How comfortable are finding the strings without looking? There's a variable that you want to think about. It's not that you're not allowed to look at your right hand, but the more you can do without looking at your right hand, that's a sign of progress right there. It's a beautiful thing. If you're using bare fingers, like doing legit finger picking, are you doing legit finger picking, or are you kind of making up your own kind of patterns? So here's an example of legit finger picking. Remember the orientation business? Your thumb is responsible for the 3 fat strings, the 3 bass strings. Your index is responsible for the 3rd G string, middle on the 2nd B, ring on the 1st E string, right? Especially if you're doing pattern picking or things that are based on pattern picking. You definitely want to make sure your finger picking is oriented that way. Don't just do everything with your thumb and your pointer. John Prine style. Oh, Gary Davis. Gary Davis did everything with his thumb and pointer. By the way, I'm well aware that so much of what I share with you guys, there's well-known exceptions. I get it. I know. But again, that's not what made these people great musicians, great guitar players, great whatever. It's hey, the guitar is a folk instrument in every sense, and there's lots of folks doing it however they do it, and yeah, I get that. Okay, let's talk about some left hand, some things some variables with your left hand. For heaven's sake, are you using your ring and pinky enough? Whatever you do, don't let your first two fingers be so confident and quick that they do things that really your ring and pinky should be doing. Find excuses to use your ring and pinky. What are some good excuses? Scales. Scales are a great opportunity to really divide up the work carefully between all four fingers. Are you in the habit of using the extreme tip of every finger, unless you're doing some kind of barring? Make that a habit. How about pressing down very close, right behind any given fret to avoid any sort of buzzing sound? It's a really good habit in general, Hey, how about simply warming up a little bit, giving yourself a little self-massage on your fretting hand before you play? I know we're going into warmer weather here. Spring has come to Connecticut. It's a beautiful thing. But it's always a good habit, man. Just whatever qualifies in your mind as self-massage. Give that left hand some love. Do it. There's all sorts of exercises. Someday I'll do a deeper dive and I'll present a little left hand, right hand stretching thing. If you're working on certain chords, like say you're working on an F chord or a bar chord, is your fretting hand getting all stressed out every minute you work in that chord? Are you squeezing harder and harder, getting a death grip until it, don't do it. I get working on hard chords. You got to shake it out once in a while. Come right back to it, but shake it out. Okay, how about some other variables in improving your playing? Memorizing stuff. I'm the last one to make someone memorize a big song. I don't want to put that pressure on anyone. But let's use I Heard the Angels Sing as an example right here. That's short enough that you really could memorize it. In my mind, you could, especially if you like the tune, just memorize it, man. You want to get your eyes off the paper as soon as possible. And certainly any sequences or things that are shorter than a tune like what we just did right there, I Heard the Angels Sing, just memorize it. That's within your control. I'm not saying you have to memorize everything you ever do the rest of your life, but short stuff, you'll play it better as soon as you have it memorized. And you know what your brain can handle. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But memorizing is within your control, and whatever you memorize, you'll play it better, guaranteed. Another variable that can improve your playing is your knowledge of music theory. Does music theory help you play the song we did tonight? No. Nope, it doesn't, right? I mean, either you can play the chord, do down ups, use your middle finger. That has nothing to do with music theory. I get that. But there are times when it can make a difference directly. I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, we'd all know tons of music theory, right? But improvising, for sure, knowing, the right scale to use when you're improvising. Music theory, you know what? Music theory can help you with memorizing stuff. I shouldn't be so quick to say music theory doesn't help with, say, I Heard the Angels Sing. For instance, that little run, doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. In my mind, I'm thinking that two, it starts off, the run starts off on 2 on the 5th string. Well, in my mind, I'm associating that with an E minor chord, because it is one of the notes of an E minor chord. And why am I thinking of E minor? Because remember, the sequence was C, E minor, C, E minor, C, and then the run begins. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, okay, well that 2 is, part of the E minor chord. That's a little taste of music theory right there. And then it comes back to that 2. Well, I know the significance of that 2. That's literally the note B, and it happens right before I strum a B7 chord. So in that sense, this song was relatively easy for me to memorize because of my knowledge of music theory, knowing that E minor chords, if E minor is the one chord, it's extremely likely that a B7 chord is going to show up in the song. So in that sense, music theory helped me memorize this tune. Yeah. Okay, so I want to throw those ideas out there before we wrap up, that some of what I mentioned, maybe one or two of those things might be something that maybe it's a weak spot for you or something you never thought of before. Those are some things that are variables that can be in your control. Notice I broke it down to right hand and left hand. Our two hands do such totally different motor skills in general, and also very specifically during any song. They're doing totally different things compared to piano, right? Both hands are literally playing the piano. Saxophone, they're both pressing those sax keys, right? Some instruments are one-hand instruments. The trumpet is one hand, right? But because the guitar requires totally different motor skills, at the same time with both hands, I find it really useful to break down anything into what does the right hand have to deal with and what does the left hand have to deal with. In a way, it makes it convenient. Okay, my friends, what about that? Look at that. 2 hours, that works for me. You guys, apparently I'm a slow drinker. I'm working on it. I want to say thank you again for being a subscriber. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, tonight's the night. Why not? Why not? We passed the 200,000 mark a couple of days ago, and that's so the beer story. Before I go, I bought the beer and realized that my keychain doesn't have a cool little opener. I thought it did, and it doesn't. So I go back to the cashier. Can I buy one? They're all out. They don't have a bottle opener. But he kind of a cool thing. He had a little Bic lighter, and he did a little thing with a Bic lighter to pop it off. Not his first rodeo, my friends. So otherwise, I would have been here holding the bottle saying, this is going to taste good later tonight. I guess you work in a liquor store. You learn all sorts of stuff. I'm sure that was part of his, I'm sure he had a seminar on that as part of his training. Okay, you guys, on that note, thank you for helping me pass the 200,000 subscriber mark. It means a lot to me. I have merch coming. I have some t-shirts, some SongBike t-shirts that I will be promoting shortly. I couldn't get it together in time to celebrate 200,000 subscribers. Bottom line is I want to get a couple first, make sure the quality and the look and everything is just right. And then you guys will be probably the first to know. Or you follow me on social media, such as Instagram or Facebook. And that might be how I make the announcement to the world that the merch is now available. Go to your favorite social media platforms, such as Facebook or Instagram, and just do a search for the phrase SongBike, all one word, SONGBIKE, SongBike, and follow me on social media, and then you will certainly find out about when the merch is available. Some nice springtime t-shirts to wear. On that note, thank you to our moderators, Beginner Guitar Lessons and Music Fan. And it's time for pizza. And I see who's at Val. Val, you said pizzas have arrived at your place of residence, your domicile. Hey, is that from Finland? Who's that? Tommy from Finland. Hello. Thanks for being here. So you guys, I'm going to say a few good nights to some of the names I see in the chat. I will see you guys next week. Good night, Max, Stephen, Randy, Thunder Ace. Thunder Ace, you were here the whole time. Some of you guys, yes, Stephen. Some of you guys were here like 2 hours, man. Awesome. Guitars and Deserts. Have a nice week. Have a great week. Val, the pizzas have arrived at Val's house. Val, I'm right behind you, man. I'm almost there. Scott, Debbie, have a great week. Guitars and Deserts. Who else? I'm scrolling as smoothly as I can. I see 29 of you in the chat. Bruce, safe travels. Many vibes. All right, you guys. Thank you for those of you who made contributions to the cause. See you guys next Saturday, our first live stream in May. It'll be our 46th live stream. And I've already been thinking about what we can do for the live stream number 50. or the 1 year anniversary. We'll figure it out. All right, you guys, have a great week. I'll see you next Saturday. Take care.